right, we'll call the monthly meeting of the Village of Lake George Board of Trustees. Today is May 19th at 4:30. And I will ask trustee Joe to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's just talking about, yeah, you're just talking about dimension. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
It's like it's someone.
We would like to open proposed law number 2, chapters 95, 137, 157, 158, 170, and 208 for removing the fees from our law books to add them to a fee schedule so that we could change them without changing the local law multiple times. And also open proposed local law number 3, chapter 170 encompassing skating, skateboarding, coasting, and sliding to add scooting, among a couple other things. And I'll take a motion to open those 2 proposed local laws.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by trustee Filomeno. Is there a second?
Making second it.
Second by trustee Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye. I would like to also ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our regular meeting from April 21st, 2025 is the May 5th meeting minutes not available yet?
Nope.
Okay, so we'll get them on the next
They'll be in.
workshop meeting. So I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Okay, that's a motion by trustee Filomeno, seconded by trustee Miller. The stage right side of the table has been quiet, so we'll all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Mayor votes aye. Monthly reports from the sanitation department, the superintendent of public works, the Caldwell Sewer District, fire department, director of planning and zoning, and financial reports are all available. And if anyone wants paper copies of those, they are available free of charge. Correspondence from the Lake George Central School District, the fire department, regarding Amherst Street parking, vehicle and pedestrian traffic, bounce house tie down, email, and prestige vending services, which showed an increase in revenue via email. Usually we get 3,500 from them for allowing them to host their vending machines. But they had a very good year last year, and based on their honor, they're giving us 4,000 rather than 3,500. The contract states that they would do so based on sales. So it's a leap of faith, but it seems to have paid off. The school district had a couple of different times that they've asked us to discontinue parking on the north side of Amherst Street as well, because the school buses are, according to one of the drivers, it's like threading a needle to pull down there when there's cars on both sides. I did measure it. It is the same width as Montcalm Street, where we don't have parking on the north side already,
Mhm.
because it's just not wide enough. And in the interest of safety, I think we'll have to change a local law, because I just found it in the books that every no parking space is listed as such. So we should do that. We can go ahead and paint the curb yellow, but I think next meeting, we're gonna have to entertain the notion of officially making that no parking.
So is that an agreement? The next meeting will have proposed local law on it.
Yes,
And it'd be
So it'll be a public.
year
hearing.
round, no parking.
year round no parking, yeah. It's just not safe. It's not wide enough. We also have a letter from the fire department from December, initially requesting Amherst Street, and April 7th from this year as well, following up on their request
Right.
of the same.
So the June 16th meeting will be a public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So as far, oh, and the Boucher's house tie down, I don't know if you saw that.
I read it,
Yeah.
yeah, they said that's all I wanted to make sure was that they're securing it to the ground.
And they will, and
Yeah.
we have their word. So on to resolutions. There is our tax warrant. Which is, did we talk about that? Jules?
What do you mean?
Just signature and resolution for our
Yeah, we
assessed value.
Permission for your signature
Okay,
to go on it, and then we can go ahead and collect taxes.
take a motion to approve that signature.
Resolution, I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Master Domenico. Is there a second?
Can second it.
Trustee, yeah, seconded by trustee Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye. I'm doing these separately only because they're so vastly different. Rosenbauer, Minnesota, the aerial payment. We have the chassis. We approved that payment. Now the aerial is done. We, based on our contract with the town, are responsible after the fire reserves. We are responsible for 600,000, as is the town. They did not put it in this year's budget, so we're going to cover the next payment, which is 422,000, leaving us with roughly 178,000 remaining as our responsibility, and the town will go to bond on their 600,000 when the time comes. We have the money. I would rather not get any more debt on the
Right.
village's plate, and we do have the money in our coffers, so looking for approval to transfer to pay, so at the end of the time that we're buying the ladder truck, we will not owe anything on it.
Right.
As far as the village goes, so we can afford it, we should pay it. I don't want to pay interest on it, increase our debt service, so if you're all in agreement, then I think that's what we should do.
And then the town's gonna pay their
Town's gonna
portion.
do it on a bond, from what they said, so they're gonna take a loan for it, but I don't believe we don't have to, so I don't believe we should.
Oh, okay, so we're not paying their portion.
No, we're not paying
Okay,
that
that's what I
portion. We're
just
gonna be
misheard that. I wanna
even
make sure.
Steven once we
Okay.
get to that point,
Got it.
but right now, we're not paying any.
Basically,
more
by
than what we're
paying this
responsible for.
$422,000, we're getting an $8,000 credit if we pay it now. If we wait, we won't get that credit.
Right, and
So we wanted to pay it to get the credit. And then the balance will be due when the truck is finished, which is in November. And then, like you said, it's a little over 100,000. That'll be our portion. The other 600,000 will be the portion for the town.
okay,
So I will take a motion to approve that.
And that would be coming from the parking account, the full amount of 422,534.
Yes,
I'll make that motion.
my motion by trustee Master Domenico. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by trustee Philomeno. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye. Turf management, has the price gone up on that? It's been pretty steady for the last
It's not.
5 to 10 years.
If it has, it's not a big increase. It was nothing that threw a red flag to me.
Okay. Now that is multiple applications, on a couple of different areas, including Charleswood Park and the rec center. I don't believe, no, it's just in line with what it was, around the same as what we spend every year.
Little League field, soccer field.
Mhm.
I don't know if I have that in here. Cause the next thing on mine is spending guidelines for, I think, occupancy tax.
Um,
Am I,
Green sheets.
The
yeah,
green sheet.
green-
oh, there it is. I don't know why the occupancy tax was in.
I had it
That-
on here, that was part of the,
That was my fault.
Okay, I was like,
That was my fault.
No,
I
it's
tried to
not.
put I thought I grabbed the contract between the town and us for the truck.
okay,
And I
Oh,
grabbed
you got
the
the wrong one.
contract for the county
I got it.
truck tax instead.
so I'll take a motion to approve the turf management contract.
Can make that motion.
Motion by trustee Miller, is there a second?
Second it.
Second by trustee Mastro Domenico. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye. Swazo Doty, we had approved them for engineering work on, I believe it was the pump station. They did part of the work already for the stormwater reduction project, the Shepherd Park, which we've gotten $75,000 of grant money. So it is paid for. It says 70 because 50,000, one of the $50,000 grants had a 5% match, so that would be, or a 10% match, which would be $5,000. So we will be matching that $5,000, but 70,000 of it is covered for the design and implementation of the stormwater park in Shepherd Park at the portion of the beach that the state determined is not swimmable. So we can award that work to Swazo Doty upon approval of a motion and a second.
I can make that motion.
Motion by trustee Miller. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by trustee Philomeno. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And there is a request by the LGA for a shed up at our rec center, where they offer the outdoor classroom. And in your packet, there is a approximate location of where the shed would be. The LGA is getting the shed, and placing it up there so that they can house their educational equipment rather than in our village building. Lindsay, you want to have a couple minutes to speak to that?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me here today. So at the Lake George Association, we partner our stream education program with our floating classroom program. We have about 1,700 kids that are in that space every single year between May, June, September, October. And as of right now, Jean and everyone at the village generously lets us use the shed that is attached to the bathrooms up there, right outside of the football field. And it's working, but you know, we're of course contingent upon the time of that being unlocked, whatnot. I also know we're utilizing space that probably could be utilized in a way that would benefit the village, you know, and not have our bins and nets in there. So we budgeted this year to put a shed there over on the trail. I did bring maps, but I think you guys have one.
Yeah.
So a little bit out of the way, out of the parking lot, and then over towards the trail that heads down to our outdoor classroom, which you guys approved for us to build in 2019, and we had a grant for it. So that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to basically not have a large size shed. It would be provided by Garden Time, but just get our equipment out of village storage and put it in our own storage. And then ideally, you know, put some educational signage up as well to guide people down towards the outdoor classroom.
See any problem?
I think it's.
Sounds like a good idea.
It'd be perfect up there.
And I have no use. I'm just more concerned of safety of things maybe broken into. You haven't had any issues down at the ball field lately, right?
Knock wood, no, but we are locked up a little tighter down there than we had been in the past.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would recommend is an additional hasp rather than the little key lock that comes
Oh,
with them, for sure.
And everything would be removed after October.
Oh, I'm
So
not-
end of October through end of April, there wouldn't even really be anything in there. It would all come back to our office, but between May and October is when our equipment would be housed.
Right,
there.
like I said, I'm more worried about, you know, people thinking it's a great place though. Because there is no really camera system up there, so,
No, there's not, and there's not really great cell service up there.
no.
Although they have
So-
made some improvements more recently, the service is much better up there. I went and checked it out myself, at least for Verizon,
Yeah,
who I,
yeah,
yeah.
so. And yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Motion to approve by trustee Mastro Domenico. Is there a second?
Can second.
Seconded by trustee Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Car show parking passes. I'm kind of under the guise of the economy hasn't really improved or anything from the last year where we decided to keep them the same. So I would be in favor of keeping them the same unless someone else has another thought.
I think we raised them sufficiently in the past couple of years. I think this year we can sort of kind of see where it sits.
The
Yes,
passenger vehicles are $150 for the Thursday to Sunday. And then no trailers on Canada Street, again, still, trailers of any other vehicles using more than one parking space is $500. Those are for the roll-off trucks that
Right.
they seem to have, and that has discouraged that use, significantly. And then trailers can be parked at the rec center for $25 each, which is what we charge just about anybody that ever
Yeah.
parks at the rec center, so. If you are thinking to keep those the same, then I'll consider that a motion.
I think that's pretty fair. Let's keep it the same.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by trustee Philomeno. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Vendor parking pass costs of 2025. I might have skipped over that, which is this. Oh, $25 in any legal parking space. For the duration marked on the pass. Now we keep the passes. Not for the year, just for the duration of the event, like the Lake George Fire Department's 2 weekends that they do, the Summer Loving. From Mark Mulholland and the Rockin' for Ronald, and as well as Oktoberfest. We don't have many others that we would issue them for.
This is just for the vendors, yeah.
Just for the vendors that are, and usually feel like that we did. I felt like we talked about doing just on the back streets, not on the main street, but I don't see that here. I think it was just a discussion.
I mean, you would think that that would be better for them, because if they're trying to sell things as well, they would want to park further away, like in any business, right? Like.
Well, they leave things in their car.
Sure.
Sometimes with some of the complaints is they can't fit all of their stuff
Oh.
in their booth, so they'd have to walk a couple blocks to go get it to replenish, and if they're the only person running the stand, that's the complaint that
I get what they're
that we
saying.
had. We did talk about that, and it's all coming back to me now, but
I wonder, there's nowhere else they can park then, is there? Cause thinking of putting vendors somewhere, and so that you can still have like tourists or people wanting to purchase things, be able to park close as well, you know, cause I feel like not.
we did that with the farmer's market. We left 3 to 5 spaces available, so somebody could pull up, grab something that they bought or
Yeah.
shop in for a specific thing. We've done that for chicken barbecues and stuff like that. But we really don't have
can't
the
think of-
farmer's market there anymore, so I would discourage against that. But,
Cause the road, like near where the arts project is, that's a public lot, right?
Lower
So-
Amherst, yeah.
Right. That could that be just for vendors?
We could
And then that way,
direct them to there until it's full.
right? And then maybe, so then people who wanna go to these events can park closer, and I mean, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here,
Yeah.
trying to figure out a
Well, as
way.
far as vendors, they're kind of there for the day and then they're not moving, but.
And they're not like cars, they're vans and
Yeah, they are bigger,
Trucks where-
bigger vehicles that are
yeah,
unloading.
that's probably kind of hard to.
It is a little congested there. That street is sort of narrow for that.
Alright,
So I think we should leave it kind of where it is.
alright,
Most of the time, the Main Street spots fill up quickly anyway. So, I don't want to say 9 times out of 10, but at least.
Yeah, this doesn't guarantee him a spot.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, it doesn't guarantee him a spot on the Main Street, but,
alright, sounds good.
okay, so that's a motion to
Sure,
approve.
big
To
motion.
approve by trustee Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Joe. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ATM contract out to bid. Do we have that many people to provide us, or we're just gonna go out to bid, so we say we did? I know
Well,
we had only one
we
person
actually-
respond to it last year,
well,
or 2 years ago.
no, this was, I think it was a 3-year contract.
Mhm.
And at the time, we did only have a couple people, but of course, the person that did not get the bid the last time is looking to
Okay,
rebid. So in all fairness, we go out to bid and that's the fair way to do this.
So let the minutes reflect it. We say Mayor Perry on that.
Yeah, this is just a copy.
Yeah,
of the last
copy of the
one.
2022. I get it. I'm busting chops, but, so I'll take a motion to approve that we go out to bid for the, ATMs that we currently have two of.
Make that motion.
Motion by trustee Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by trustee Joe. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye.
You didn't vote on that last time, did you?
I don't know, maybe I wasn't here.
We said 4 ayes and 1 absent. And your name isn't on here, so.
Yeah,
all right.
maybe I just didn't
Former
make the
trustee
cut.
must have missed that.
Didn't make the cut on that.
Our former trustee must have missed that on the approvals.
Could have been, could have been. So the park commission in, cooperation with us and the town in order to deal with the congestion in the basin caused by paddle crafts, which are usually either loaned out from motels or rented from, kayak company. There was a TikTok challenge a few years ago or a couple years ago to paddle out and touch the mini as it goes by, which is ridiculously stupid, and unsafe for all those concerned. But there is just a lot of congestion and it's happened since, I guess, basically since COVID. There was a good way to get outside and enjoy the lake, is to go kayaking. It's just single vessel operated by one person. You're kind of socially distancing. But it grew extremely in popularity and it's got a lot of traffic in the basin of the lake. We had a nice meeting with the steamboat company and several motels, and motel owners. They've all agreed to do better with safety videos, labeling of kayaks, flags, as well as the name of the resort on the back of the resort issued life jackets. So we know we find an empty boat, we know where to go looking. Same with the life jacket. We had a meeting with the park commission and they said if they had $10,000, they could escort the mini in on the busier days, that being Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, or Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays of June, July, and August. The town and the village has agreed to split that additional cost and provide it to the park commission for the safety of our guests as well as our residents. The town had already approved it on their Monday meeting of the 12th. And asked if we were in the same vein of approval. I am all for it. I think it's a good way to, maintain safety. The park commission boat will clear the path for the mini, which cannot slow down quickly or obviously does not have brakes and it's not very nimble as far as avoiding
And
people in its path.
Mini's the only one that had an issue. with
Mini's
it?
the only one that comes on the western shore. The Mo and
Everything
the
else is in the
Saint go up the middle and
In
up
the
the east side. So it is a couple times, a few times a day. I think it's 4 to 5 times a day. Where they have to go, and we would keep them out of the 5 mile an hour zone if at all possible, but the way the wind blows. The ship needs to make its way to the gangway and it can't land if there's a strong northwest wind or even a south wind.
They're too far
So they
from
do
it.
need to go into the, and
basin.
they've talked about it, and admittedly, some of the pilots would hug the shore a little closer and the steamboat company has agreed to tell them, don't do that anymore. I mean, it's nice to get up close and people can take pictures and I'm sure provides awareness that the boat is out there. But they're gonna avoid doing that as well. So it's kind of a little bit of give and take from everybody. Cost the village and town a little bit, but for safety's sake, I think lives are worth a little more than $5,000. So I would recommend we approve this and I'll even make the motion to partner with the park commission and the town of Lake George in funding this extra vessel.
Will we fund out of Octax or?
It will likely come from Octax, but it could also come from our consulting line item. We already do some stuff with the park commission through Octax for boat inspections. So we could add the additional monies from that. I think we're always budgeting a little more anyway, so it's not gonna hurt our budget coming up. So there's a motion on the floor.
Make the motion.
I made a motion here, second.
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by trustee Philomeno. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. So as far as our health insurance premiums, we have a retiree who owed us $1,000, has discontinued contact with us. He's a retiree and, dropped his insurance, because he didn't want to see an increase, although it is out of our hands. Our hands are kind of tied. This stuff goes up every year. Basically, we've exhausted all attempts at reaching this gentleman, and we have the money in our insurance for instances such as these, so I would recommend we, as well as the treasurer and clerk, just write it off. Unfortunately, we're not gonna get it.
Close it, right?
Yeah, just close it out. Zero it out. I mean, we could send it to a collection agency, but
$1,000.
we're gonna get half of it if we get it at all, so.
Yep.
So I don't think it's worth the efforts of the office to seek that money. So I'm willing to just write it off. We do have monies for that reason, in our budget, so take a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Joe, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Chair votes aye. Approval for additional money for lifeguards. Allison was lucky enough to have been able to attend that meeting at the town, showing a disparity between we have a contract, an intermunicipal agreement with the town to have our beautification department take care of the gateway, and they would take care of our lifeguards at Shepherd Park Beach. Labor has gone up significantly over the years since this was first agreed upon. And lifeguards cost money, more than the amount that we spend on labor and materials, while labor for the Gateway Gardens, it's turned out to be about a $30,000 to $40,000 disparity. We can make that up by covering the side gardens for right around 13. Everybody's got the details, 13 to 14,000. And then 6,100 for the flowers for the town's portion of the gateway and mulch and fertilizer. So for the price of around 20,000, we can continue this IMA in good faith. Allison did bring up a good point in the meeting that, yes, it is taxpayer dollars for the town, but we're also town.
Yeah.
We're also town residents, so we're village residents as well as town residents, and the members at the committee to discuss this IMA were in agreement that if we did that, we would safely and comfortably be able to continue our intermunicipal agreement. So for around $20,000 coming from occupancy tax, which is where our flowers come from anyway, I would recommend that we approve this extra spend in order to keep a good working relationship for this IMA, at least for this year.
And they were okay with our portion of picking up the extra flowers and stuff.
They were,
They were the ones. that-
they
I guess-
suggested it, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, I just remember we had some talks when we were talking about the, committee meetings and about what
Intermunicipal
they
agreements.
thought, yeah.
Someone always, and it's not really us as electeds, sometimes it's the employees that just feel like that.
Yep.
We're not getting a fair shake, and I think we try our best to achieve that, and this is a concession
And
in order
it
to.
brought to our attention
Yeah.
like it was, so I'd rather see that instead of waiting and say, hey, we're always
Mhm.
covering it. And
Negotiations and diplomacy is always a better way to go.
I just wanted to note that the 13,000 shows tax, so it'd be the 12,650, 640.
Oh, right, on the estimate from, Grasshopper Gardens, yeah, we'll hold them to that, so, 19,000.
Okay. I mean, are you gonna look into us doing our own lifeguards next year?
I'm going to consider, or continue the conversation, I think. I think it bears a look, to see if what we could do, we would probably have to. Nominate an aquatic director or hire an aquatic director,
Mhm.
like we had in the past, It just made a lot more sense since the town has two beaches, we have one,
Yeah,
our beach. Requires 3 times the amount of,
And what
Of
it did
labor.
was it created a larger pool.
well,
of
it creates a
It
larger
does.
pool, and also. If they were paying $1 more, we'd lose a lifeguard. Like we do to the New York State, for the $1 million beach, they pay.
And then when
Significantly more
schools
than we
start
do.
we lose lifeguards.
I understand
Yeah.
that. I think what I didn't like about the conversation was I felt like Judy's services were devalued a little bit, cause she goes in the middle of that median and it's dangerous.
Oh, no.
And they can't find anyone else to do
No,
it, so
and they
even
don't
though
want
our.
to.
Right, and so even though our labor and costs for it are much lower than them finding lifeguards, if they were to contract that out, their
Mhm.
costs would be significantly higher.
Two things, you're right,
Yeah.
absolutely right there, but the other thing is they would not be able to find a company, because we've looked.
Right,
We've looked at all of the large
Yeah.
landscaping companies and they're like, no way, absolutely not, we cannot work in traffic, which is what. Judy and her crew do,
Yeah.
so, and I think we did a good job driving that point home and letting them know that, it. If you look at it at the end of the day, it's sure it. From an accounting standpoint, there's a big difference, but. If you look at it from the significance of safety and the job that you're getting done, it's worth more than what it is on paper.
right, which I feel like wasn't. Taken,
Mhm.
and I guess, but that's just my point, like next year, I don't want us to have to keep making up a bigger and bigger and bigger difference, like
Right.
if we're doing something that no one else is willing to do.
Yeah.
And then we're paying then we're paying a bunch for the lifeguards as well. It just seems like it puts the village in a bad
Well, we
position.
just have to figure out the safety cost of what our employees are to do that
Right.
work
Right,
and tap that into that position as well then.
Or it's we figure out that and add that into their pay when they work on the gateway, so then it comes up as more
Tiered-
even,
tiered-
yeah,
tiered, compensation.
right. Like if they work on the gateway, they make this much money because that's what someone who was contracted out would be getting. And it's a
Hazardous
safe
duty pay.
hazard duty pay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Okay. So as far as this year goes.
We could do it this way, but I think next year we should look into the hazard
Mhm,
duty pay.
Absolutely, so that's a motion.
Have a second.
There's a second. So it's Mayor and then. So, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye. Special events, we have a new application, well, not super new, for Americade to use, Shepherd Park. Which is not something they've done in the past, which actually adds a free aspect to the event. They've agreed to the charges that Debonair figured out. There'll be not a wheel of death like I wanted, but there will be a slow. Slow ride competition, the world champion slow ride competition, I might add. In the parking lanes in front of Shepherd Park, as well as a bring it and show it, daily driver bike show. And some bands in the top of the park, as the bottom of the park is. We won't have our tent there yet, so. They're having three bands, Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday, another additional 2 bands. Then they've paid their monies, and Debonair has figured out exactly what it's gonna cost. And, they're good to go, so upon your approval, then. We'll be fine, so I'll take a motion to approve the Americade use of Shepherd Park.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Mastro Domenico, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by trustee Filomeno. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Mayor votes aye. The rec center for next year, there's some parking. And they'll provide their own security for a Model T Ford Club Tour. Bill Clow has been in several times to arrange and measure for parking with trucks and trailers up at the rec center, and then they will be doing some different tours with Model T Ford Club. So he's planning quite a year and 3 months when he first started talking to us in advance. Issuance of permits, he's already got his certificate of liability insurance for the Model T Ford Club, and they are a 501c3, which really is insignificant, but they put it in there. And they have sufficient parking up there at the rec center during a period of time where there won't be any games. So between the soccer fields and the baseball fields, as well as the football field, they could fit the 200 to 300 trucks and trailers that they're going to be bringing along with them, and each of them pays the $25 fee. So it's a pretty good win for the village and a nice event to have.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see the Model Ts much anymore.
No, remember the days they were out there. They were big,
Yeah.
big draws.
The only question, have we talked this over with, like Kathy? As far as like, will this impact her at all?
No, it won't, and we did.
Okay,
Yeah.
she was fine with
He
it.
was fine with it.
So-
Nothing will be going on up there at that period of time.
Okay.
So they're kind of right after the youth commission baseball, and then right before any even thought of
All-stars.
soccer or
All-stars and travel.
all-stars and
stuff.
travel stuff. Yeah, they're not up there at that period of time. It will be in between any all-star games and the end of
Yeah.
youth commission baseball.
Okay.
We'll take a motion to approve the Model T Ford Club Tour at the rec center parking.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Joe, seconded by trustee Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Wood Park, the pilgrimage for restoration. Is this the same? This is the same group that's every year, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. These guys come spend the night, as they're in September, late September, as they're walking to,
Here, the shrine.
the shrine, the pilgrimage of, Sir Isaac Joe.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they're a fantastic event. They clean up after themselves. They've never been a problem. Good church going folks. Yeah. So I'll take a motion to approve the Wood Park for the pilgrimage.
I'll make that motion.
Ooh, boy, that's a tough one. I think it
Did I get my fingertip on that?
goes Jose, and then I'll
I
say
stopped.
Joe. Yeah,
Oh, I'll second it.
okay, who seconded it? All those
Usually I
in favor,
can't
please
hear.
signify by saying aye. What?
Usually I can't hear.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye. I would like to close the public hearings of local law 2 and local law number 3.
There's no.
If there is any comments from the public, comments from the board. You don't know what they were? I told you what they were at the beginning.
Is this scooting just to try to kind of
We need something
cut
to,
down on?
well, we need something
Yeah.
to back ourselves up. It never said anything with scooting, and scooters are the bigger of the electric bikes, but the bikes are already in the law.
Right.
So- Electric scooters, Clifton Park, the town of Clifton Park is looking to ban them in all of their town parks. You know, they,
Right.
if they didn't go 30 miles an hour,
They didn't go so fast.
it would be a little easier to stomach, but they're on our sidewalks, they're in our paths on our parks, and we need to have something to, you know, to back us up if we call the sheriff's department, or if we happen to catch somebody ourselves, and Jim can ticket them or cite them. So I think it's,
So we'll be modifying our signs
yes,
for sidewalks and all that stuff.
No scoop.
and straighten them up, they need to be updated anyway.
Yeah.
Some of them are hard. You can't even read.
Some of them are
You
just so
can't-
faded,
they're
yeah.
faded.
So,
No motorized vehicles, was that considered motorized?
well, the scooter, yeah, I mean,
Or
they're,
the bikes and-
that would, you can't leave out the handicap scooter, so if you say motorized, it puts it to you know, something like that is open for interpretation. Scooting is just a better word. I looked it up. It's actually the word most municipalities are using to decide that. Scooting. Sounds silly, but it's true. So I will take a motion to close the public hearings and also declare a negative declaration of seeker.
To make that motion.
Motion on
Yes.
both by trustee Miller. Declaring a negative secret declaration. So trustee Master Domenico, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Miller,
Aye.
trustee Filomeno,
Aye.
mayor votes aye, it's unanimous. So we did have the discussion for a floating pickleball court. Local entrepreneur Greg Teresi had brought this idea to me. To discuss with the park commission. We would have to talk to them first, as they are a governing body of the waters of Lake George. And I did speak with Dave Wick today, and he said, let me tell you two things.
Mhm.
One, it's a terrible idea and it's never gonna happen.
Mhm.
So we really don't need to discuss this any further because I'm pretty sure that the park commission is not gonna bend on this. It was a neat idea to draw people down to the beach and give them something else to do that no one else has. But no one else has a Lake George like we do, so
Like floating in the water.
float out, I got a picture I'll send you.
Coolest
Wow.
looking thing.
It's pretty cool looking.
And it
It
could've-
might be in
it
your
would've
packet.
fit.
Isn't it in the packet?
Yes, it is.
It would have fit nice right.
There is
in the
actually a
pier.
picture.
It would have been, it would have fit pretty
Inside
good,
the
but,
pier.
I understand and I had an at-length conversation with, Director Wick, and he made his point pretty clear and, you know, as far as a commercial business making money on the waters of Lake George, it's state land, it's not allowed. Vessels are because there's a whole list of requirements and
Yeah.
obviously this just is a new thing and, yeah, it might look cool, but probably not the greatest of ideas.
It also it seems like a huge safety concern.
Sure.
Looking at that, like, oh my word. I
So
can't-
It's a big floating dock.
there's the update. It's a big.
It
floating
is,
dock,
but they're
yeah.
playing pickleball on it, and I could see someone just going right over the edge, running after a
Jump off the
ball.
dock.
I used to jump off them too. I used to ride a bike off them.
Yeah, but you're looking at the dock. You're not like looking at the ball and falling over the edge.
You skipped
Well,
over the
you know.
discussion.
You have no
Ah.
fence to run into. or-
So in my.
You should,
Ernst,
how many
um,
injuries we get in physical therapy specifically from this sport?
So in my Ernst to talk about the floating pickleball court, I skipped over number 9,
Oh,
which
okay.
is proposed local law number
Oh, I
4.
thought we did that.
Which is chapter 220 zoning, refuse, collection, residential and commercial. This will be a review of what we're going to do, and set a public hearing for June 16th. The, owners of Casella Waste, which is the predominant, waste collection company, had asked last year if they could pick up a little earlier than our noise ordinance. And I said, well, and they explained to me their problem of why they're just not getting back in time because they have to go all the way over to Fort Ann to dump it. And then by the time they get back, it's noon.
Mhm.
And then they would go visit the back streets or the residential area. And they were running into like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening and they asked if they could have an hour on the beginning end. And I said, well, let's just stick to Canada Street. Do not leave Canada Street.
Right.
Do not pass go, do not collect $200. And they did as a trial. Unfortunately, they did not know where the village begins and ends. So
Oh.
they went to the Garrison several times at 5 in the morning and some people actually got in their cars and followed them to the rest of their route. So once I explained to them where the town ends and the village begins or vice versa, they understood that, okay, the Garrison's off limits. We had a meeting last week with them and I said, let's try it again. Our local law unfortunately states 6 o'clock in the morning rather than 5. So if we separate it out to do 5 in just the commercial area and they know, and the other companies know, we've let them know to stay off or stay on Canada Street. Do not leave Canada Street to pick up any dumpsters. There's very minimal amounts of residents. I can count 3 that didn't complain last year about the waste pickup. So I would like to give it a shot this year to establish Canada Street as being the commercial zone and the back streets being untouchable until well after the noise ordinance. What they're saying is they'll be getting back to the back streets around 10 or 11 o'clock, which would put them well outside of our noise ordinance level. So I'd like to give it a shot. We did give it a soft shot last year, and this year I would like to make it permanent.
Okay.
And if should we have any trouble, we can just undo what we're about to do in June. So no real need for a vote on that or just discussion, just so you guys know it's coming down the pike.
Mhm.
And say, so June 16th, we will
June
have a public hearing
June
for
16th,
this.
we'll have a public hearing for this. We'll be able to review the potential change of the law, which will be simple, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
underline
you
and
see it- you
bracket,
can see it
yeah.
on there, it's literally,
Yeah, and we can
All
review
it
that
would
on the
be-
second, if we do have a meeting on the second. Do we have a meeting on the second? No, we moved it, didn't we?
on the fifth, and that one
It's on the
is,
fifth.
that is just.
That is just for the closeout of the budget year. Okay, so yeah, 16th it is. So water changes and transfers and audits. If there's no question on those, I will take both of those in one motion to
The
approve.
full transfers and audits is in the paperwork that you had. She had sent over
Right,
I saw.
the paperwork without the transfers on it.
Mhm.
and it looks like a lot, but it's end of year, so we're kind of moving things to close out our books so that we spend everything we're supposed to spend or get everything paid for that should be paid for by the end of the year, which will memorialize on June 5th for our year closeout. But, so it looks like a lot, but it's really not. So I'll take a motion
I'll
to
make that
approve the
motion.
transfers and
Approve the
audits, as
transfers
well as the
and
water
audits.
changes.
And the water changes.
And the water change.
Okay, motion by trustee Master Domenico. Is there a second?
Can second.
Second by trustee Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye. I'd like to take 14 before 13. Tim, who's not here because he's in training in Verona, New York.
That's where I'm from.
That's where you're from, right?
Yeah, hey,
So he's in your old stomping ground having some beans and greens or
yeah,
Riggies.
Riggy's chicken
chicken
Riggy's maybe.
Riggy's and Utica greens.
Yeah, Utica greens, there it is.
Mhm.
But so he had come to me, we did hire two people with the CDL, one person, would they make it to noon?
Yeah.
Noon,
Oh, wait, the new person,
Yeah.
he worked the full day, but he ended up going back to,
yeah,
he was a correctional
He was a correctional
officer. He ended up
officer.
getting transferred to another facility with a much bigger pay, and he's like, I gotta stay, so.
Okay.
he was trying to stay in the New York State retirement system, and I have a world of sympathy for those that were affected by the whole shakedown that went down with the prison system. So we did hire him, but then he got an offer to go back to work in Adirondack. So he didn't last long, but then Tim found another employee that has a CDL. So we put in a revolving door. I don't know if you guys saw it. There's a revolving door at the wastewater treatment plant. It seems to just be going through and cycling through employees, but I think you have his information.
Yep.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, William Holmer Jr. Tim interviewed him, Junior interviewed him, Tim's son, and Tim interviewed him a second time, initially by phone, once in person, and then Junior interviewed him in person, so. Upon their recommendation, I would make a motion that we, hire the new employee with the CDL, at the selected rate for CDL employee.
Can make that motion.
I made it, you're seconding it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Perfect.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so we will be entering an executive session to discuss both an employment history with a particular employee and another matter that is sensitive. So if there's any questions before we go into executive session, this way by putting 14 first in front of 13, we don't have to carry any business out after we leave executive session and, so you can all be safe to. Morgan, what can I help you with?
I guess I just have, two questions.
Okay. So you mentioned something about an event, right?
Oh, we're still working on finding that. I will be back.
Okay.
Could I stand
Yeah, come on up, don't be shy, we don't bite. Joe does, but stay over there.
Take my teeth out.
Hey, Morgan.
So I guess I just wanted to get it in the public record about the situation on Smith Street with the people double parking during the summer. I guess just for context, there are no parking signs on one side of the road on Smith Street. So my neighbor Linda Butler has complained a lot about, I've seen like tourist bus, people have parked in her driveway, and she's worried that if there was an emergency vehicles wouldn't be able to get through. So I guess I was hoping for like a public update on what's going on with that and if there's a timeline on when the problem will be addressed.
Well, we did used to have no parking signs, they were, because of the way the bank.
Oh, yeah,
It
I
works,
see.
it was easy to pull them out, they were
Yeah.
pulled out and thrown into the woods and, I spoke with Keith and John about it. We just really need to, reestablish those no parking, we did a lot of work. Over the last few years to widen that area on the west side of the street to accommodate more hiking, especially during COVID, it was a crap show, madhouse, yeah, is a better word. But just the volume of people wanting to hike Prospect, there are so many better ways to hike Prospect than that trail, but I won't go there. But we will be reinstalling those, it's just been doing it between raindrops, and they've
Yeah.
been kind of all hands on deck, getting back into the spring mode and getting everything ready, but yeah, it is on our radar, and we will be reinstalling those no parking signs.
Do we have the yellow paint on that area maybe too?
We can try to, it's
Try,
pretty
I
rough
know.
shoulder, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't hurt to give it a shot, we're out painting now
Right,
anyway.
so might as well.
Yeah.
Paint there too.
So yeah, we will be addressing that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Of course.
I hope you don't mind me being a pest about it.
Nope, it's not being a pest at all.
And my second thing is I wanted to state that I have some concerns, sorry, about the feral cat population in Lake George Village. I know a lot of people in our village are sort of taking it upon themselves and their own financial expense to feed and fix and, try and rehabilitate the cats in the area. I feel that it would be good that for the sake of public health and our ecological whatever, that the village perhaps has a policy to trap, neuter, and release the stray cats. There is a North Shore Animal League that works with municipalities to sort of start up these programs. And I guess I just wanted to present the idea because I'm concerned about, rabies and things like
Mhm.
that
Right.
potentially.
That, please, ticks, all that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's been a bad tick.
It used to be, yeah, and it's getting worse. There used to be, at George's Restaurant, they had a cat shelter there. And it was really easy for us in the village to, not necessarily us in the village, but village residents to trap a cat and bring them over there. And then they would take care of the spaying and neutering. It changed hands. The ownership is not the same and there is no longer a cat sanctuary there. So if you have, information pointing us to another one that is, we'll definitely recommend that. There are a number of residents that I know of that have caught them and spayed them and neutered them, but there's always another one.
Yeah.
Yes, themselves.
Themselves, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike, My only-
Morrison's being one of them.
the
but,
Morrisons
yeah.
do, yeah. My only wonder is, how do we know if it's a stray cat or, and like, are we just saying that if they don't have a collar on that we
Usually
could?
they're chipped and if
Be-
they have a reader in the,
Cause I know when I canvassed, there's a particular house that I will not mention where I was like, this is where all the cats are
I know
coming
exactly
from.
where you're talking. about.
And so I don't know if it's their pets or if it's they're just housing and feeding a ton of stray cats.
They're still feral, so they're not pets.
They're not considered their cat.
And they're not approachable either, so.
Okay, so
I
then,
believe there was talk of like a registration program or something for people with outdoor cats. My thought is, potentially if you guys decide to do a policy like this, we could have it sort of work like the leaf pickup programs where it's like this week is going to be the trapping week. If you have outdoor cats, either put a collar on them or just keep them inside for this week.
Okay.
Just some sort of like basic outreach, just so, we don't want, the people we hire to be losing time on cats that are someone's pet.
And I'll
Right.
play devil's advocate on that. We don't require a permit for a cat. We do it for a dog, a license for a cat, or we
Right.
do for a dog. So it's really kind of hard to pinpoint the people and to make them aware that, why is my cat missing? Well, we told everybody we were gonna be out collecting cats.
Yeah,
So, I think that might not be the best way, but if this North Shore company could maybe, I'll have a meeting with them, or any of the concerned trustees could have a meeting with them.
Yeah,
We could maybe establish a parameter that's worked in other communities that we haven't had to yet, and it's kind of a newer thing because the cat sanctuary was just the easiest way to go. It was
Yeah.
so great, and cats lived out the rest of their days, and
cause I,
was-
there was another, either some sort of animal shelter, whatever. I looked up, feral cat, TNR, Warren County. And I saw like two, one looked like they were still closed for applications, but North Shore looked like it was still open.
okay, yeah, if you want to provide me with that information, I
Yeah, I can
appreciate
send
it,
you an
and, I don't know who else wants to be on that,
the other thing I'm thinking too, cause I just remembered a situation that happened in Saratoga like a year or two ago that somebody did take someone's cat and bring it to a shelter and they ended up getting sued because it was someone's cat. So
we'd
that's
want to
a-
avoid that.
we'd have to, and it like got into a lot of papers. That person ended up getting into a lot of trouble. So I don't,
If I could play devil's advocate, to
Yeah.
your devil's advocate.
sure, go ahead.
One of the
I just-
threats to outdoor cats, this is actually how one of my family cats died,
Yeah,
is from having fights with other cats.
right.
All of their claws and teeth create puncture wounds that become infected very easily. So I think that if we could, tell people, hey, this will be a way to keep your cats safer when they're outside, but potentially, hopefully, they'd be more interested in, following along with our program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't
Okay.
wanna capture someone's cat and bring it to a shelter.
Yeah, well, I think it's
We'll figure it out.
definitely grounds for a further conversation.
Sure.
It's not something that has gone unnoticed by us, and
Yeah.
it's just what to do kind of thing.
We'd
Get
like
analysis paralysis when you think about it too much.
to be able
That's
to
true.
maybe at least ask the people that own the cats if they can collar them or notify us of some kind of a tagging system, so.
A lot of times they end up taking them to a barn, a horse barn,
Yeah.
or something, because their instinct is to catch mice, and that's kind of what they're good at and that they love to do, so. Find a farm, we'll gladly deposit them there, but thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Chief, you got anything?
Yes, I do.
All right, thanks here.
I wanna, thanks for the progress on the Amber Street in Canada.
It didn't go without, I think my nose is actually still bleeding from some of the merchants over there, but.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll go to bat for you anytime.
I think that in the end, it's gonna be best for the communities. Although there may be some inconvenience for those people right now, but
He'll get used to it.
I believe that they'll understand the importance. Keith and Chris and I and some others had met at the rec center, exploring the possibility of using the system there for training and as a water supply situation. Although I was told of a lot of reasons I shouldn't do it, I haven't been told why we couldn't do it yet, and I feel a little bit awkward talking about it without those guys here.
Right, yeah, they're at training right now, but,
Yeah, but I certainly hope that we can continue to explore it. The last discussion with Keith was that he might be able to use the back truck and even recruit some help from Warren County Soil and Water to get a more definitive analysis of what's there.
mhm.
So, I wanted to state that. And, the third thing, I was a bit taken aback personally by, the way the budget process ended up this year. I was notified by the board that September or December, January, I had been a little too aggressive in purchasing items, and that we weren't able to do anything or purchase anything more until the next, anything substantial until the next calendar budget year. And then I was also informed that they had made some transfers and the like, and that ended up being a rather considerable amount of money, but yet there wasn't time to spend it because it needed to be completed before the 31st of May.
Right, when we close our budget out, right, it's difficult to order something, even though it's within the budget time. To have it paid for and, because we got dinged by the state comptroller's office when we were audited.
Which is, you know, I understand those things. What was difficult for me was the fact that I went back to the membership to provide funds to keep the apparatus online. And I know I took a lot, or took some heat from some of the members about the village can't not have money. And so that they can keep the apparatus going, and I assured them that I did, but now when we see this rather large amount going into the capital reserve, I'm going to be, you know, in a tough spot relaying that back to the membership. And I don't know that I would be a party to that situation again in the future, so.
Well, I think sometimes it's not easy to explain how municipal government and municipal finance works to a group of people that aren't familiar with municipal finance. We've faced this before, with several different times and several different chiefs. It's a learning curve, and next year you'll be thinking a lot quicker and on your feet, and your budget's a lot more inclusive than the budget that you were working off. This wasn't your budget that you were working off of this past year.
Understood.
So I think your budget's pretty solid for this year. The way that the elections work for both the village government as well as the fire department is you're working off of someone else's budget. As was I my first year. And which is kind of why I delayed our passing of our budget until after the results of the election to have that be something that was going to be approved by either one newly elected trustee and one re-elected, or potentially two newly elected. So there's a reason I did that, but there's not, you don't have the option for doing that. You don't have that choice, but I think from here on out, you know, as long as you do a budget similar to what we saw this year, it's encompassing. I mean, you don't have a crystal ball, that's why it's called a budget forecast, but I think your budget this year was spot on, and you'll see a lot more smooth operations in the next year from June on.
What would help me, and I know it would require additional work for some of the people that maybe more of a warning or an alert before we get to the point where we absolutely have to stop. They've been very good at providing anything when I've asked for it. However, I might not always know when to ask for it, so.
Yeah.
Perhaps additional communication or something like that concerning the funds of the fire department, so that you can be sure to utilize all the funds appropriately.
Jules, you have that?
Yeah, I mean, the financial statements are in every board meeting. You can certainly look at those or ask for those at any point. My suggestion is when you come in, maybe once a month, ask for a drawing of your account. We can print it out for you and tell you exactly where you're at.
Very good.
Yeah, I think we can do better, but we'll all do better together.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Chief.
thanks, chief.
Thank you.
Had the chief had the, when this weekend, had with the weekend. With the community day, with pushing back those barricades. That work out well for the
I
fire?
didn't hear anything, about that concerning the fire
Okay.
department.
Well, I wasn't sure if you had any calls that went out, with the
we-
barricades pushed back.
We had the big call on Friday night.
Friday night for the
Yeah.
flood, yeah.
And, I was, I took off a little early that afternoon
Yeah.
and I didn't hear any complaints,
So it worked out well then for you guys as well.
just like
Okay,
it should have.
yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah, Price Chopper was happy with everything, worked out great for them.
Yeah, because it was mid-block.
Yeah,
Right.
Kelly was everything worked out smooth and she said it was like nothing was being blocked off,
Good.
so.
You know, there was one or two people that felt that do not enter road closed didn't apply to them, but
Yeah.
they turned around, went back out.
Usually one of them in every group.
Well, then you put a bucket out there for a coin drop for the fire department.
We spent most of our time over on the other end.
Yeah. I was saying, I just put a bucket there, hey, turn around, they donate for the fire department. You walk past the gates. Is that all?
That's it. Thanks,
Thanks,
Chief.
Chief.
Sir.
Yeah, I just, on behalf of the Model P Four Company of America, I appreciate.
Oh, thanks.
I
Thanks, Bill.
appreciate, the village, working with us to be able to have that parking, not just parking, to be able to put this event on. I'm working with, Fort William Henry Hotel,
Mhm.
and, those are the people that directed me to you guys as, a place to be able to park these, so we can have this, event next year. So I just wanted to thank you and the staff, everybody.
Yeah, this was a lot of time that you put into these maps of the
Yes.
overhead
Yes.
pictures and, you know, measuring it out.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic job. You looking for work?
But thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Thank you. So I will take a motion to go into executive session.
To make that motion.
Motion by trustee Miller, seconded by trustee Joe. No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Take care, have a nice day.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
There you
And we're back. Starting our discussion during executive session, I'd like to make a motion that all those eligible to participate in the health insurance will be given that chance for eligibility.
Let's reword that a little bit, motion, for all current and future.
Current and future eligible employees to be able to take advantage of the health insurance as offered currently. That make sense? That's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee Joe. All those in favors, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye, and opposed say nay, and recuse themselves or abstain. Abstentions? Abstention. Okay. I did want to mention, I know I've talked about this a lot and, I always talk about Dynamite Hill, or more recently, I don't know if I talked to all of you about it, but, I spoke with the owner of Adirondack Extreme and Tubby Tube, same guy,
Mhm.
Jamie Johnson. They have a tow rope at Tubby Tube still from when they last used it in 2018, and they have a snow gun. The guys up at the rec center, Gene and Anthony, have a plan to utilize a tow rope should we get one.
Okay.
They didn't know that we had this opportunity. I did speak with Jamie Johnson, and he said, I would gladly donate that to Lake George. My kids go to Lake George. All I want is statement of value so I can write it off on my taxes.
Okay.
Easy peasy, right?
Yeah.
Spoke with Vinny from the town. I think we talked about it in the joint tax meeting. It could be something we could develop for this coming winter. And the potential we talked about also bringing the ice rink up to the rec center, kind of have a
Oh.
whole little area up there to, with some, maybe some fire pits and have a nice little place. People could spend the entire day there with their kids.
Yeah.
Kids will be exhausted and then they go
Would they?
right to
walk?
sleep.
No, that's a great idea. I think that's
Um,
lovely.
So it really looks like it's not gonna cost a heck of a lot of money at all. We're just gonna have to figure out a way to staff it.
Staffing. is
Okay.
gonna be-
Staffing is, employees are always the most expensive thing. We did a really neat thing with the ice rink this year. Originally, our conversation was, at the joint level was, we'll cover, the village was gonna cover half of the employees and then the town was gonna cover the other half. We had enough money left in joint that we covered both Dave Goodsell and Cherie Dillenbach's salaries that they
Mhm.
worked for, so a net cost of $0 to the village taxpayer and the town taxpayer.
Mhm.
All of it came out of the joint op tax. We were reimbursed all of the salaries that we paid, Dave Goodsell and Cherie. I ate the cost of the decorations. There was minimal decorations on the ice rink that Judy did because we can use them over and over again somewhere else. So, it worked out really well and what we, elected to do on the joint committee was just reimburse the village the monies that we already paid out.
Mhm.
So, yeah, yes. That's all. That's really all I got unless I'd like to have further public discussions about, what we can do with the rec center, what I've always wanted us to be able to do. And I think we're off to a really safe, cheap start. We do have the water up there. We have power. We could make snow. That'd be really cool.
And the ice rink you're talking about, that, the one.
The
we
synthetic
purchased?
one. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Not the fireman's water one?
No, I would not do that again. Well, first of all, we can't guarantee the cold, but the only thing that I would say about the ice rink, the synthetic ice rink, is if we can't put a roof on it, it is a bare clean.
Yeah.
Like you get a little bit of slushy ice or snow, and then it freezes. That's like welded on there, like spot welded to that surface.
Yeah.
To synthetic, right?
The synthetic ice,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so I mean, it is really great inside,
Indoors.
or at least with a roof over it.
Okay.
And we could work with some of the youth commission sponsors to maybe have a roof built over it. Place it right in the football field at the top where the kids would be going down. So you could maybe have a little tiny Christkindl village, Christmas village
Mhm.
or winter village, I guess it would be better. And the cross-country ski trails are up there, so we could really have a nice little winter area. I mean, it's off the beaten path, but once people find out about it, I think,
And we get
why we're letting them go by us and go into Chestertown if we have that same amenity here.
Right, right.
So you'd be able to skate year round then.
Could skate year round, except when there's powder puff football.
Well, I mean, if we're offset it off the side.
That's not called powder puff here, but used to
Pop
be.
Warner.
Pop Warner, powder puff, Pop Warner. Powder puff was young girls football, I think.
I should have played it.
I should have played. that.
Powder
I'd be
puff.
dominant.
We had a girl on our football team.
Did you?
Yeah.
I did want to mention, though, I forget, with the Model T show,
Hmm.
if there's any patching and paving that we're doing, maybe we can start getting some of that patch, the paving and start patching. And
Because the wood rims.
well, I mean, that road is bad.
Yeah,
Going
I
all the
think
way up.
what
If we could,
we talked about it
can't
with Bill.
afford to just.
We talked about it with Bill when he was here. I really thought he was part of the fire department.
Yeah, I did too.
Not sitting with them, so.
Well, none of them sat together.
Yeah,
He was in a different fire department.
it was a different fire
Yeah.
department, but he's a super nice guy. He said what they'll likely do is they'll unload where there's good pavement and then just drive up. And they'll have, like a little bit of a jitney kind of bringing them back and forth,
Yeah.
because they don't want to ride on that road with the wooden rims.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just meant though, in general, though, if we were able to start, all that black patch they were dropping off and they're doing drip nine. they
Yeah.
Dropped it all up and then hey, can you just drop in the back of our trucks and we'll take it up and.
We
Just
just,
worth
at
it.
that stage of when they
Oh,
did
no, I
that,
know.
we just didn't
No, I
have
know.
the manpower to do it.
But maybe though, somewhere if we getting any extra, or maybe we can
That's
just,
what that was paid with originally, was,
yeah,
tailings run through a blacktop machine.
Yeah.
To heat it back up.
but maybe we can start gradually, work through the summer.
Mhm.
And if we get a pickup truckload and just start filling in, just to sort of kind of even out that road just a little,
Mhm.
get rid of some of the potholes. I'm not saying, I'm just saying fill in the potholes, not repaving the whole structure.
Right.
The approach is beautiful. When you first
Yeah.
enter it.
Oh, yeah, well,
the-
then they
the-
just
the
redid
approach is
that.
nice.
Yeah, well, they did the whole road coming in, but once you pass that fork going to the soccer fields.
Yeah.
It becomes a.
Well, soccer
minefield.
fields is all dirt, so.
Yeah, but that road going up to the
The road
football
going up to
fields
the
and the
football,
baseball.
yeah.
Comes a minefield,
Okay,
so maybe we might start,
noted.
especially we're gonna do a lot of the work up that way,
We're doing work everywhere, man.
I know, crazy.
Good news is we should have, I'm hoping this week, we should hear about DRI. The
Okay.
budget passed. We heard from Kathy Munsell, who is, on the board of directors for the RADC.
Mhm.
She said we should hear this week, so I would, she's got a finger on the pulse a little more than myself and Vinny do, so, fingers crossed. And that's what I got. You know, anything else?
I was just gonna say, the community block party, I think this year like was, even better than last year. It was very nice. And it was nice that they provided a lot of stuff for free for everyone to do.
Yeah,
So that
I
was,
think it was pretty great.
Yeah.
Until the rains came, but
yeah,
until 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock or 4:30, I was, I was surprised at how well it held out and it was nice and warm.
yeah.
Can they try to get a band playing on Sunday?
They were able to. I didn't hear them, I didn't see them, but I heard about them.
Yeah, I
And
heard.
and they were pretty good. I did attend the church service on Sunday morning. I was the only Catholic, admittedly.
Mhm.
They actually polled us and asked, is there any
Catholic.
Protestants here or Presbyterians here? Are there any Methodists? And are there any, and the last was like, are there any Catholics? Woohoo!
Yeah.
It was just me, but it was good, and the breakfast was just fine afterward, but it was a very nice communal sense of I'm not a huge attendee of worship, but it was enjoyable.
Mm.
They got really into their last song. Oh man, that guy just did the refrain like 3 times, and it was to the point where everybody's like, he's doing it again. And it was good. Their music's much better than our
And
Catholic.
sunrise
music.
service for Easter is nice.
Stand on that moment.
Mhm, it was.
Get the refrain going.
He was looking for an encore, but he got it. So anyway, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Was there anything?
They cut all the grass, then it rained again and all the grass came back.
Yep.
We have an absurd amount of grass and they cut it perfect. Then it rained all weekend. And it grew right back.
Nobody can do no mo May this
You
May.
can't do more no more May.
It's not gonna work out this
It's
May.
gonna be knee high.
Yeah.
Those April showers brought Mayflowers.
Yeah, it's not Mayflowers or May showers, but
Yeah.
what do you got? Anything?
Just that I caught wind, just to give everyone a heads up, we had an issue with one of our ride mowers.
Oh, yeah.
At the rec
In
field,
the rec field,
engine blew.
the rear end of the zero turn mower blew, but it was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
We did organize, and as this was after you left,
Yeah.
John, there was a
Yeah, we-
salesman here.
We got a
who
loaner.
was
for
trying to
short term.
provide, we got a grant this past year for the $10,000, if you'll recall, for the battery powered
Right,
lawn
yeah.
stuff. So we're finally getting to that where we tried to order the stuff from Greenworks through Lowe's and they just don't have it in stock this time of year.
Mhm.
Or a little late. We tried, but so we were talking to the steel dealer and he's gonna get us as much of it. As much equipment as we can get for 10,000. Very comparable to what we were having. It's at state
Right.
what is it? State
State municipality,
That's
right?
it.
State municipality
Yeah.
pricing, and so that's good in a way. But when John told him that our zero turn blew would, the rear end, he's like, look, just take one and demo it for the rest of the week, so you get your mowing done at least. And then maybe you buy one or lease one for us. We don't have it in the budget, this budget.
Sure.
We didn't really budget for it for next year because we didn't know it was gonna blow, but we
Mm.
might end up doing a lease or something like that. So it's a low cost dollar buyout lease for a couple years. But the guy was really nice. He's like, I'll have one delivered to you this afternoon. So he's gonna have a new steel zero turn mower.
Indefinite demo.
Yeah, I don't think it's indefinite, but we'll.
Did he give us an idea on how much that is?
Yeah. I mean, he might
I
get
heard-
John that,
I-
if John didn't tell me.
Yeah, no, John mentioned to me, with the contracts, it's like a 20+ machine for about 15,
15,000.
somewhere in that ballpark roughly, but.
Yeah, he did say
Still
to
have
me
to
with the
do
new one
whatever
was 20
auctions,
grand.
$15,000 for a zero turn, full warranty.
But it's a
Yeah.
pretty big deck. It's
No, I
like,
think that's a good
60
price.
Some
Yeah.
odd, 60.
60 inch.
4,
so
something.
it's a 5+ foot. I mean, mowing the field, you want like a 5 foot thing.
It's a
I
big
saw
price.
the new one the school got as I was driving back here from after I had lunch.
The stand on,
That was pretty neat. No, it was a drivable one, and then the front was like this, looked like the corn binder from Cars. You remember Cars? Chasing by the corn binder?
No.
Yeah, it looked like that.
Yeah,
so we need it.
The Towinator, the Mowinator. Okay, that's all I got.
Alright.
yeah.
Right.
And then I just wasn't sure, with parking with the holidays coming up. Was sort of kinda letting neighborhoods and they have property, we're letting them out, park, right? With
Corner
Memorial Day
parking lots.
weekend. So,
Oh,
parking
yeah,
lot.
yeah, it's, it,
You know-
we never, it's one thing, I'm glad you mentioned that, we never finished that.
Okay.
We talked about it in September, and I think I said, anybody has any other ideas, let me know in a month, and then we'll talk about it, and
We forgot.
we forgot.
Yeah.
We all collectively forgot, and
Yeah.
even Julie,
No, I had it sitting there.
oh, well, Julie.
Julie
she
didn't
didn't
forget.
say anything.
Yeah.
That's for
Because she was waiting to say, I had
churches and the
sitting there.
residences.
I have it sitting there,
Churches and
but-
the residences, just to establish, like, look, these are the parameters, no driving off a curb, no, and then we had some stuff highlighted in the potential local law, but we didn't finish it.
Can we call the local law the alternative Montcalm Street parking lot law?
Yeah,
I mean, I know the church does it and I've watched them drive off over the sidewalks over the.
So basically it would.
we did
Sure.
have like 4 events, which I think would probably grow because we do have more shoulder season events, like Oktoberfest, but
So is the plan to present this as another local law at the next meeting?
yes, but I don't want to put any fees on it, so we'll have to establish a fee in our fee schedule. Because we're not gonna make that mistake again, but this didn't mention any fees. It mentioned that they need a license to do it. And there's a 3x2 sign clearly showing the price, no hawking, noise devices or means of attention grabbing. I think it's really just the underlying stuff that changed, and we'll get you all a copy of this, just to refresh your memory.
Cause what do we allow right now? I can't,
Right now, we just allow it. and
Okay.
We don't allow it with, anything. Scott Dunkley was coming up here and he bought an insurance policy, so I think what this is gonna say is we're
That's what
gonna
we do here.
require an
Mhm.
insurance policy to
Yeah.
protect us and protect the property owner and name the village. Hold the village harmless,
Mhm.
to name the village additionally insured, so should something go wrong, at least we got a set of parameters such as these that will, make sure they don't drive over a curb, or, they have to be out by 11 PM.
I just don't know if, I mean, just throwing this idea out there, should we make like zones where this is allowable, like how we do short-term rentals, so it's not like,
It's residential and residential mixed use.
right, so it's like,
In commercial zones, they're allowed.
right, but so that's basically like the whole village, right? Would it, I'm just not.
CMU and it's about 2/3 of the village. I wouldn't call it,
Yeah,
And as far as properties available to do it,
there's not many.
there's not many.
I just don't want to run into, I feel like when short-term rentals came out, there was like, no one saw into the future at how it could cause issues with neighborhoods. And so I'm wondering, I just want to look into the future and make sure that we're not making it so someone's property value goes down because maybe now their house is next to a
Yeah,
parking
well,
lot.
I mean,
Seasonal
it's-
parking.
Yeah, and that's, so I just want to, that's what I'm
Similar like
thinking.
Saratoga, you would think, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's an area next to the track where the whole, everything's a parking lot.
It's the backside
You
of the
know.
track where everyone's.
Yeah. So if you have like a house there, all summer, you're just staring at people's
There's houses on
cars.
Main Street too that are coming.
Yeah,
Right.
I always wondered how those people thought about or how they felt about me
I don't-
parking, for $10 in an old gas station that's defunct.
Yeah, so I just didn't know if, I just don't want it to affect anybody.
No, I wanted years ago, maybe look in to see how Saratoga allows it, because I know we were adamant at probably about 8 years ago.
But
no
not
parking.
even making it a use, just
Mhm.
turning the
Yeah.
other cheek, which is what our attorney advised us
Yeah.
to do. That goes back to Howard Krantz.
Yeah, and,
Rest his soul.
so we did to put some guidelines to no over the curb, no hawking, staying on the street, flashlight signs. We do get occasion that popped up, but, you know, it was rendered and, you know, well, they talked to them, they pretty much stopped, but we only allowed it on Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend,
Mhm.
car show weekend, Americade weekend, and Some people push
This
the
one
4th of July.
says is Americade, July 4th, Adirondack Nationals and Thursday fireworks.
Right.
I would extend it to like. I don't think the block party is necessary, but the
Labor
Columbus Day. Memorial Day, Columbus Day and
Jeff Fest.
jazz maybe, yeah.
I mean, you just can't go out there and say, hey, Tuesday night, you wanna park at my lawn?
But the thing is when we put it into law like this, I saw something else just recently looking at the law books or our code. It's, you know, had an event that doesn't exist anymore, like Elvis, I think it was mentioned,
Yeah.
like, they're not gonna be there forever, like. Adirondack Nationals car show is not gonna be there forever, neither is Americade Motorcycle Rally, but, I mean, it'll be there for the foreseeable future, but, you know, we might, you know. Might stop doing fireworks on Thursday, who knows? Right now, we're not, but.
Approved village special events, and prior to the season, we give the list of approved village
think that-
special events.
A better way to word this. Right here, with the exception of events with specific days designated annually by the village board of trustees. So like this time. Oh, maybe not, maybe a little before, like maybe around when we do our budget or our annual meeting.
Yeah.
We designate the dates based on.
Yeah, just like the holidays and all that stuff.
Mhm. Based on predecessor logic.
So will there be a fee?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
thing.
there should be a fee.
Yeah, and it'll be on the fee schedule.
It'll be on the fee schedule, but I think it should, I think it should be,
Registration fee, you're gonna do it.
I really think it should be like $250. I mean, if it's not worth your while to pay the $250 fee, then it's not worth you parking cars. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how much they make off of it.
honestly, I feel like it's a waste of energy and time I wouldn't
down a
want people
tree.
parking in
I wouldn't,
my yard, cause then I gotta worry about when they're coming
Sounds
back.
wild.
And-
yeah.
I can't believe it came down and stump and everything out in a few hours from,
Oh, it was all day.
yeah, I know, but I thought that was a 2-day project for the stump.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
especially
in
the guys that
village
did it.
business licenses, I mean, if we're
all
gonna
that.
do like, there is a parking lot. A commercial parking lot is only $75. We can change this at any time, so I think that that's pretty low,
Mhm.
but maybe
We
if
could
we
do
do
maybe
parking, this is
$75
parking
event.
lot commercial,
What
then
about
if-
event?
not per event, I wouldn't wanna do that. But if we do parking lot commercial and parking lot residential, say the residential's 150
For the year.
for the year.
All right, that's good for the
Or
year.
$200 for the year. A commercial parking lot for $75, that's very reasonable.
Mhm.
Then how do
I think
you,
we could raise that, and
could you sit there and attach that to the churches through that park?
I don't see why not.
Because they are nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
organizations,
That's true.
and then the money doesn't go to the pocket, it goes back into the church, into itself, so.
Right.
You know, and that was always the biggest thing was, one of the original law was, had to be parkings, spaces had to be like legit
Lined
and
and, yeah,
lit.
Right.
And the only place that really fit that need was the Catholic Church.
Catholic Church or Caldwell Presbyterian, right. All right, well, food for thought.
Yeah.
I mean, we can,
He said, I just wanted to
we
bring that
should
up
get
just so
something so we can,
everyone is pretty much aware, you know, these things are gonna be probably popping up or start happening. So no one's blindsided when we do see them.
Okay.
all right. Well, having said all those words in a row, you got anything else? Since Jose said that's it, take a motion to adjourn.
Great.
So ordered.
Um,
Who did the motion?